hypothetically, every single source of information in the world were destroyed. Libraries, archives, everything. And this one remained. Will this be a good point of start to re-educate the world?
We are really the repository of three very unique things, which is the most comprehensive, multilingual, multi-formatted library collection of the world's knowledge in one institution. Secondly, because of copyright being the unique place for copyright deposit for the United States, we're the closest thing you have to a mint record of American creativity, intellectual and cultural creativity, and everything from computer software to the latest music and so forth. And finally, because of this World Digital Library, we're now a central point for helping gather in and digitize and primary cultural and historical documents of, we have something from every country in the world. So I mean, everybody has access to that because it's on the internet, but since we've been the anchors and kind of the executive people really starting this off, we would have that to offer too. So I think there's a lot we have to offer, but there are many other places that do too. And the thought of operating alone in such a world of destruction is not one I like to contemplate lightly.
Comparações com a histórica Biblioteca de Alexandria são inevitáveis. Provavelmente erguida no século III a.C., durante o reinado de Ptolomeu II, a biblioteca foi considerada a memória viva do mundo. Mas o acervo, com cerca de 600 mil rolos de pergaminho, o equivalente a 120 mil livros, sofreu graves perdas. Primeiro, em um incêndio atribuído a fanáticos religiosos, e depois em uma série de guerras. A biblioteca renasceu em 2002 no Egito, com a missão de ser a maior das bibliotecas digitais do nosso tempo. Essa versão ultramoderna tem a estrutura feita em vidro e alumínio. Vista de cima, parece um gigantesco microchip.
The great mystery of Alexandria is why did it suddenly vanish? There's no conclusive proof that anybody systematically destroyed it. My theory is that people just became indifferent, took it for granted, and suddenly it faded away and vanished altogether. That is not the original library, but the other. Now we have the new Library of Alexandria, and the head of it is one of the people, along with the head of your National Library in Brazil, on this 5-man executive committee for a world digital library.
You refer to an enormous danger in the case of talking about the Library of Alexandria, which is indifference. Is indifference always a concern for the librarian?
I think it's always a concern, because what you're dealing with is the repository of human memory and human creativity, and it's in inert form. And when budgetary crises arise, say within universities or within cities for the great libraries, say in the United States or anywhere in the world, the books, the pictures, the items that make up the collections, they can't talk back, they can't defend themselves. The librarians can to some degree, but if it comes a choice between people who are always fighting for the last dollar and the books that don't talk, but if they're not acquired, if any library loses a year or two's acquisitions, it isn't just that they lose a small fraction, they lose almost their relevance, their continuing relevance as the arbiters to whatever community they serve of the world's knowledge and creativity and of of future generations. That's why the Library of Congress mission is determined not only in terms of service to the present, but in terms of preserving a universal collection for future generations. That's part of our stated mission.
A Biblioteca do Congresso tem 21 salas de leitura. 20 são eficientes, funcionais. Uma, além disso, é excepcional. É essa aqui, a sala de leitura principal da biblioteca.
Embaixo dela existem 12 andares subterrâneos repletos de livros. São estruturas bicentenárias que sustentam todo o prédio principal.
You're actually on the bottom level of 9 levels of book stacks, and this whole structure is held up by these end panels, these cast iron end panels.
There is 9 stories
There are 9
above
stories.
us, and this is what's holding...
Right, there are 63 feet of, and it's divided into 7 levels, 9 levels of 7 feet each, 63 feet up. There were 2 fires when the library was in the Capitol, one in 1814 and one in 1851. So when they built this, they were very, very conscious of trying to reduce the risk of fire. They didn't have sprinklers at the time or anything like that. So basically, when they built these, they built them of cast iron, the shelves of steel, the floors above us are marble on every level, very thick marble, so that nothing can burn except the books, but they were very, very concerned. So this whole design was very unique at the time to actually have the book stacks as the structure, rather than simply have floors with bookshelves sitting on them.
So the book stacks are the structure.
This is the structure. 63 feet, 9 levels of 7 feet each. This is the structure.
How many books? I mean, 100 million items in the whole library.
Right.
How many of those are books?
Roughly about 17 million books. We have different formats. We have 142 million pieces, 62 million manuscripts, prints, photographs. We're very, very rich in the formats we have, as well as the languages. But within the books, to give you a little bit of background, when we moved here, they built this book stack in this area, and they have one on the north side of the building, they have one on the south side of the building. So these book stacks were actually put in, hopefully to keep the library going for a very, very long time. Each of these levels, these 9 levels, has a capacity of about 90,000 volumes. So when this building was built, between the north and south book stacks, they had a capacity of about 1.6 million volumes. And in 1897, they were thrilled. They thought, this is wonderful, and we really can keep us going for a long time. Well, we ran out of space in 1910. It didn't take that long. So what they did at that point was take a courtyard on the other side, and they actually took that courtyard and they built another book stack. And they figured that would be great for quite a while. It lasted until 1925. And again, they had to increase by taking another courtyard on the north side of the building, and they built another book stack. This is a conveyor system. It's really a large loop, and what it really does is to connect the main reading room center desk with the main control room, so that when a researcher asks for a book, we get the book from the stacks, and we put them on this conveyor. They're then taken off by a constituent services technician in the reading room, and they're delivered to the reader at their seat number.
How many books per day do this trajectory?
Several thousand, depending on the time of year and the time of day, but we're usually doing several thousand requests a day.
What is your dream library of the future?
It should be taking advantage of new technology, new forms of publication, but coexisting very comfortably for researchers with traditional or older forms of publication.
Sounds like you're describing the Library of Congress.
And it is a Library of Congress. We're very, very much into digitizing, making available resources on the web, but we're also very, very conscious of our role as a preserver of collections of the past for future generations. We try to keep our books for future generations as well.